Morning. Today's Monday, March 20th, and we're going to take a look at a couple of charts. And I'm going to speak very briefly about the Bitcoin fork. So right now we're looking at a Bitcoin 15-minute chart, a Heiken Ashi. I'm not even sure how to say that. Heiken Ashi. That's the kind of chart that it is. And this basically is a candle chart that shows momentum changes. A little bit different than your traditional candle chart. It really is more focused on direction. And then I drew in a pitchfork as well. So right now we're about the mid range. And Bitcoin's kind of just been bouncing around, but it does have an up channel established again over the last day or two. And we're just going to kind of see how this plays out. If it can get up to 1080 and above, then I think we've got we're back in bull mode. Right now, it's still trying to figure some things out. I may actually put in a short term, small leverage buy down here if it gets down to the bottom. Full disclosure, I drew another pitchfork last night and I had the wrong angle. I think I used these 2 points. So it was a little steeper. And when it broke down right here, I went ahead and sold at a very small loss. And this morning I redrew it and I see where I made the mistake. This little breakdown right here is just actually still in this pitchfork. I just drew the pitchfork wrong. So you kind of live and you learn. I think this is actually a pretty good trend to keep an eye on, and we'll just see how it plays out. So that's what I think about Bitcoin. Hopefully you're back in an up channel on this 15-minute chart. Going to keep an eye on it. Down here possibly might be a buy if you wanted to nibble. That's probably under 1020 to 1,000. So that's my latest thinking on the Bitcoin price. And then taking a look, this is a chart I think I've posted before, but this is Dash, and Dash is the yellow, Ethereum is the kind of orange, XEM is actually it's another yellow color, Monero red, and then Bitcoin. So you can see the return on Dash is 370% on this chart. Ethereum took a nice dip and came back. It's about 250, 246. XEM is 150. Monero about 76%. And my Alexa got triggered. And then Bitcoin is about, it's actually just a little bit negative. So this is another chart I'm keeping an eye on. I do expect some of these patterns straight up to come down. I'm just giving up on trying to time it. So when they do start to come down, like let's say, Ethereum did a little head fake, but the other alts were still going up. So that might have been a good a good trigger to say, oh, you know what, Ethereum's down, but the other ones aren't. That might have been an opportunity to get into Ethereum, but you didn't see it, and I'm not really anxious to play the altcoins. I do keep an eye on them, but I don't buy them. The one coin I do buy is Monero. And it's only because I believe it's got a longer term story and different fundamentals than the other coins. And it's also the one that's had the least amount of run, so it's got more ahead of it. So that's what I think on those things. I want to talk about the fork a little bit. And I posted a blog. I might link it in the description. But in the blog, I was comparing the U.S. government, the way it's structured with the 3 branches of government, the judicial system, the legislative system, and the executive branch. So you've got those 3 branches of government, and they all have checks and balances on each other. Well, Bitcoin somewhat has the same. The executive branch would be the miners. So the miners can make decisions, and they can put things out into reality, and they can agree or disagree with the users. Or the developers, depending on how they look at things. So the miners are the executive branch. The developers are the legislative branch. So the developers, basically, they write the code, which in the Bitcoin world would be the laws of how the systems run. So developers would be legislative. And then the users, the actual users who use Bitcoin, they're the judicial branch. And they pass judgment basically on whatever version of Bitcoin or the viability of Bitcoin via price discovery, because the ultimate arbitrator for Bitcoin is price. So the users are the judicial branch. So if you look at it, those 3, the miners, the developers, and the users all interact and have checks and balances on each other. And right now the miners are really pushing to um, force a hard fork, or some of the miners are. And the potential checks and balances are that the developers are they can do what they can do, but really the users would be the ultimate judges on whether or not that hard fork is going to be viable. Because if they just sell all their Bitcoin unlimited and nobody decides to use it, then it's not going to go anywhere. So, I can barely look at Twitter because it's just so blown up with this whole drama about it. But those are my quick thoughts on it. I actually, whether it happens or not, I'm trying not to put too much energy into it. I don't recommend that you watch it on a daily basis, but you at least be aware, and you don't keep your coins on an exchange ever, but especially with a hard fork coming up. So those are my thoughts. I'd welcome some comments. Let me know what you think about all of that, and good trading to you.